Let's go ahead and have a seat and get centered in. So just take a moment and find that nice straight spine. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. And just take a moment to notice how your body feels, every part of your body. Start deepening and slowing your breath. So Ujjayi breathing if you can. And then just notice any thought patterns, any emotions that your thoughts are causing. Notice your energy. And then go ahead and bring palms together in front of the heart. Let's set our intention for our practice today. When you're clear on your intention, take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. So we're just going to stay seated to start with today. We're going to be working today with spinal mobility. And so your spine has a lot of actions. We don't usually think of it that way, but it does. Your spine flexes and extends. In other words, it bends forward and bends backwards. It has lateral flexion, side to side. It has rotation, which is twisting. And of course, because we're yogis, we also know how to lengthen it. We're going to be doing all of that. So we're just going to love on our spines today. And we're going to start in this seated position with our hands on our knees. And what we're going to do is kind of a seated cat-cow. So this is gentle flexion and extension of the spine. Don't let your head put back and forth. Keep your chin parallel to the ground. Inhale, press the chest forward. Exhale, pull it back. So as you're inhaling, you're arching your back. And as you're exhaling, you're rounding your back. Do that a couple more times. So we're just loosening everything up. And then come back to the center. So that's forward and backward flexion and extension. Now we're going to do lateral extension. So go ahead and put your right hand on the ground. I apologize, I'm not mirroring you today. So your right hand is going to go on the ground. You're going to slide the right hand out, but keep your left hip really planted. Relax your neck and reach your left arm up and overhead. Get a really good side bend. And then if you're feeling particularly pliable today, you can even bend your right elbow a little bit. But you want to feel that big stretch on the left side of your spine. And if you pay attention to it, you're also feeling compression on the right side. So we squeeze on one side as we open up the other. Let's go ahead and come on up and switch. So the left hand goes down, that right arm comes all the way up and over. We really reach through the right arm, maybe even bend the left elbow. And so now we're stretching out the side that we just squeezed, and squeezing the side we just stretched. So this is lateral flexion. And then go ahead and come on up. Take your right hand behind you, left hand on your right knee. Lift the chest, very straight spine. Now we're rotating. So we're rotating to the right, looking over that right shoulder. And there should be a small amount of rotation, not really from the tailbone to the base of the skull, but from the top of your pelvis to the base of your skull. The part of our spine that is attached to the pelvis, which is called the sacrum, doesn't really have any mobility. It shouldn't have anyway. Let's go ahead and come back around. Left hand behind you, right hand on your left knee. Lift your chest, twist, and look over your left shoulder. So the neck is the upper part of the spine. It's rotating. We're rotating around the chest, the rib cage, the navel, and even a little bit of the abdomen. And then come on up from that and transition to your hands and knees. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple of cat-cow stretches here. Slightly deeper flexion and extension of the spine. As you inhale and arch the back, that's actually extension. And as you exhale and round your back, that's flexion. So probably getting a little deeper than you did in the seated ones. And then just pause in neutral and we'll do lateral flexion again. Take both of your feet to the right. Look over your right shoulder like you're trying to see your left heel. Push that left rib cage out. So you should feel squeezing on the right side of your waist and stretching on the left side. And then we switch. Both feet go to the left. We look over the left shoulder like we're trying to see our right heel. Poke that right rib cage out. Come back to the center. We're going to go ahead and do rotation from hands and knees, which would be threading the needle. And we're just going to do it the normal, gentle way. Right arm underneath. Press a little bit with your left hand so you're rolling. So now you have rotation again. So from a seated position and a kneeling position, we've already done 3 of the actions, the 3 main actions that the spine is capable of. Go ahead and come on out of that, and let's take the left arm underneath. Press a little bit with your right hand, roll. And come on out of that. Give yourself a little bit of a tail wag. And then we're going to go ahead and move into our first child's pose. So if you can do traditional balasana with your knees together and your hands back by your feet, palms up, and curl into a little ball, this is flexion because it's kind of a forward bend. We're rounding the spine. Now from here, we're going to sneak forward into Sphinx on our bellies. And there's going to be 2 things happening here. The first thing is that our back is arched, which means it's extension. This is the opposite of child's pose. However, if you relax your glutes, and you guys know this, and you pull with your forearms, you can also traction your spine. This is kind of the yogi's secret to spinal health, right? Is maintaining length in the spine. The more space that we create in our spine, the more mobility we have. And the more mobility we have, the more alive we are. The yogis say that you're only as old as your spine is. So if we keep our spines young and healthy, so are we. From here, let's go to downward facing dog. Plant your hands, turn those toes under, push the hips up and back. You can take a moment to move here and pedal the feet a little bit if you need to. But then the truth of the matter is that downward facing dog is also a spinal lengthener. If you'll press really firmly through your palms and reach those hips way, way up and back, and then press your heels down, 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 you'll create a little tiny bit more space between the vertebrae in your spine. Let's go ahead and walk the feet forward. Keep your knees bent. Relax your neck and just dangle. So technically this is flexion again. We're folded forward. And if you're truly relaxed and your neck is super soft and your head's just hanging, it's also a gentle tractioning because you're lengthening your spine by allowing the weight of your head to kind of pull some length into it. Now, if your feet are all the way together, this will be a little easier. So if they're not, go ahead and bring them so that they're touching. Bring your fingertips to the mat. You can bend your knees deeper if you need to. I want you to squeeze them together tightly. Make sure they're pointing forward. We're just going to walk our hands around to the right in a small little circle, kind of like you're trying to get your hands back by your right heel. So now we're getting rotation. And a little bit of lateral flexion too. Walk your hands around to the left. So again, a little rotation, a little lateral flexion, come back to the center, and then as you inhale, come all the way up. And if you lift the chest and slightly reach back, that's extension. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So I won't call out all the different actions of your spine with every move, but you might see if you notice that now. As we go through practice, notice, is your spine flexing, folding forward, extending, arching back? Is it rotating? There's their lateral flexion. Just start paying attention to all the movements that your spine can do. So here we go. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. I want you to go ahead and step back with your left foot. Nice deep lunge. Just plant that left hand and take your right hand up towards the ceiling. Bring the left knee down to the mat. Put that right hand that's in the air on the inside of your right knee. Roll to the outside of your right foot and gently apply some pressure. Let's open up that right inner thigh a little bit. Let your right knee point back up towards the ceiling. Bring your hands to the top of your right thigh. Tilt your pelvis back, lift your chest, let your hips move forward. Then take your left arm up into the air. Reach it up, and then reach it over to the right a little bit. Take the right arm up to meet it, lifting the chest and rolling the rib cage back a little bit. Come back up, and on exhale, rotate open to your right. Arms are out like a T. And then we're going to take both hands down either side of that right foot. Fully extend your right leg. Flex the ankle and toes. Pull your toes back towards your shin. You should feel your right hamstring and calf, of course. Take a couple of breaths. And then from here, let's take our right knee back to meet our left knee. Those of you doing vinyasas, please feel free to take off and do them at your discretion. The rest of us are going to take child's pose. And then from child's pose, we're going to scoot forward into Sphinx and take an extra breath to really appreciate the fact that in addition to arching the back here, we can also lengthen it. Length is always good. And then downward facing dog. Also taking advantage of this pose as the spinal lengthener and back body opener that it is. Then I'd like you to take a big step forward with your left foot. Keep that right hand planted and take your left hand up towards the ceiling. Go ahead and drop your right knee down. That left hand that's in the air is going to go to the inside of your left knee. Roll to the outside of your left foot and apply some pressure. Just enough, not too much. From here, let your knee point back up at the ceiling. Hands to the top of the left thigh. Tilt the pelvis back, rib cage lifts. Hips move forward, so we want to find that stretch on the front of the right thigh. Then we're going to take just the right arm up and lean to the left. Come back up to vertical, let the left arm join the right arm, lift the rib cage, roll it back a little bit. Come on up and rotate open to your left. Arms are out like a T. And then both hands down, either side of the left foot. Extend your left leg, flex the ankle and toes, pull your chest forward. Bend your left knee, step your right foot forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale and reach the arms up and back, and exhale. Palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up, Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And exhale, back down. I want you to step back with your left foot. Go ahead and spin your left heel flat. Come up into warrior two. Reverse your warrior with your left hand on your left thigh, right arm up and over. Lateral flexion. And then come on up, and I want you to put your right hand on the inside of your right knee or thigh. Your left hand is going to slide down your straight left leg towards your ankle, and it's fine if it doesn't go all the way down. Once you're down, I want you to press your right arm straight. We're pressing against the inside of the right thigh, getting some tractioning, lengthening on the right side of the spine. Take one more breath here. And then come on up, straighten your right leg, have your arms out to the side again. Lengthen your spine to the right, lengthen, 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 and then find triangle pose. Left arm towards the ceiling. Try and be really mindful of the spinal action here. So things you want to look out for. You don't want to have lateral flexion here. So you don't want to see a curve in your spine, no side bends. You want your spine to be very straight. The other thing you want to be mindful of is no rotation. We shouldn't be twisting to get our right hand to any particular spot. Go ahead and bring your left hand down. Step straight back to downward facing dog. And lengthen your spine. From this downward facing dog, we're going to step the left foot forward, spin the right heel flat, and come up into warrior two. Reverse your warrior, right hand on your right thigh, left arm up and over. So this is that lovely lateral flexion. So you can feel what you're not going to do in your triangle, right? We're going to come up first retraction though. Left hand to the inside of the left knee or thigh. Right hand slides down that straight right leg towards the ankle, and then we press the left arm really straight. So now we're tractioning out the left side of the spine. Come on up from that, straightening your left leg. Lengthen the rib cage to the left, finding your triangle pose. And so as you find a triangle, be really mindful of having a super straight spine. So remember in the very beginning when we were doing the side bends and I said you'll feel one side squeeze and one side stretch? You should not feel that here. If you're feeling your left side squeeze and your right side stretch, you're too deep into it and you should come up and get a straight spine. So just pay attention to that. Also no rotation, no leaning forward to get your triangle. And then bring your right hand down, just stretch for a moment. And step your right foot forward to a standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. So we're going to turn sideways on the mat and just take a moderately wide step. It doesn't have to be crazy wide. Maybe a little wider than your shoulders. Toes are going to point out because we're going to self-traction from a kneeling, not kneeling, but kind of a bent knee squatting position. That's the word I'm looking for, squatting. So as you bend your knees and let them point out over your toes, I want you to put your hands on your thighs and have your arms completely straight. So it depends on your body proportions. Your hands might be out by your knees or they might be mid-thigh. It doesn't matter. Your elbows should be straight. Then you want to kind of try and get a little more vertical, so not leaning forward too much. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push into your thighs, lift your chest, lengthen your spine. See if you can sneak your hands a little higher up and straighten the elbows. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push into your thighs, lift your chest, maybe get the hands a tiny bit higher, straight elbows, inhale. Exhale, push into the thighs, lift the chest. And then you can exhale, straighten your legs, roll your shoulders back, shake out your wrists if you need to, and breathe. All right, so we're gonna be doing 2 balance poses today. Yay! And I'm gonna link them together just for fun. So what we'll be doing, just to give you a heads up and a warning, is we're gonna do eagle pose, Garudasana. It's a very twisted, rounded pose, and yet your spine should be very straight. And we're gonna maintain that straight spine as we unwind and take it into a warrior 3. So modify if you need to, be near a wall if you need to. Otherwise, without further ado, prepare your right foot to stand on. I'd like you to bend your right knee. Very tightly take left thigh over right thigh. Toes can be on the ground if necessary. Right arm under left. Chest is lifted. Tailbone is dropping. Maintain a straight spine and this arm position as you unwind your left leg and extend it behind you. Trying to keep spine extended as you hinge forward at your right hip. Come all the way back up, both feet on the ground, unwind your arms, roll your shoulders back a couple of times, and then we do the same thing on the other foot. So you're gonna stand on your left foot, bend your left knee, take your right thigh really tightly over your left thigh, take your left arm underneath your right arm. Try and get your torso vertical, tailbone is dropping, heart is lifting. Trying to maintain this nice straight spine. If you can, you're gonna unwind your right leg, extend it behind you, hinging at your left hip. Come all the way back up, right foot on the ground, unwind your arms, roll your shoulders back, interlace your fingers behind your back, squeeze your shoulder blades, lift your chest, lift your arms. If your hamstrings are tight, you can bend your knees. Otherwise, fold forward, relax your neck, reach your arms up and over your head. Inhale all the way back up. As you exhale, release your arms, roll your shoulders back and bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. And then exhale, back down. So you're gonna step back onto your hands and knees. Those of you doing vinyasas, feel free to take one. Otherwise, come into child's pose, really rounding your back. Scoot forward into Sphinx, lifting the chest, so you're arching your back, but you're relaxing your glutes and pulling forward to also get that bonus tractioning move. And then downward facing dog. Press that tailbone up and back, stretch it back. From your downward facing dog, you're gonna walk your feet forward again. Big inhale, arms up. And exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're gonna work all of those planes of motion now from a standing position, really basic, but deep. This will be the deepest yet. Work at your own level. And then we'll start to take it back down again. I like to do these with my feet together. If you feel less stable, you can have a little space between your feet. The first thing we're gonna do is inhale and reach the arms up. Interlace the fingers and extend the index fingers straight up.
So I'm not mirroring you. You guys are going to lean to your right. And what I'd like you to do as you lean to the right is you push through your left foot. So what we're trying to do, and keep your arms as straight as you possibly can. What we're trying to do is get as much lateral flexion on the spine as possible. In other words, a nice deep, deep, deep side bend. In this case, you should feel a lot of squeezing on the right side and an immense amount of stretching on the left side. We're here for 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, you're going to come up, and as you exhale, lean to your left. So the same thing, as you're leaning, you're pushing pretty strongly through that right foot, and really try to keep the arms as straight as possible, getting as much lateral flexion as you can. Lots of squeezing on the left, lots of stretching on the right. Now, come on up, and I want you to be really mindful of your low back. We're going to extend the spine, which means arch backwards, but I don't want it coming from your low back. I want it coming from your upper back. So the first thing I'd like you to do is kind of tuck your tailbone under. I want you to tilt your pelvis back and keep it tilted back. You'll feel your buns tighten a little bit. That's fine. Lift your chest up, reach up. Now think about your upper chest rolling back. Keep your pelvis tilted back so that you've got length in your lumbar spine. And keep the chest lifted and slightly rolling so that it is your thoracic spine, your mid and upper back, that is initiating the arch. Only go as far as you can. Be very mindful of not compressing in your back. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come up. Release your arms. I want you to actually put your hands on the back of your calves or the back of your heels and pull your torso towards your thighs. Really deep forward bend. On your next inhale, just go ahead and come on back up and roll your shoulders back. So now we're going to do a standing twist. And the most rotation that you can get from a standing position that's going to feel stable is with a little bit of width in your stance. I like to take my feet about shoulder width, do what feels comfortable to you. And what we're going to do is kind of do it like a windmill, so to speak, or like a propeller, whatever you want to use. But the thing that's interesting about it is when we do seated twists or reclined twists, we have help and leverage from different body parts. When you do a standing twist, it's literally the core muscles and the muscles attached to your spine that are doing the work. So while it may not seem as deep as the other twists, it's actually the purest spinal twist because it's your spine doing the rotation. I want you to take your arms out to the side, like an airplane or a windmill or whatever you want to call it. I don't want your hips and knees to rotate. They're going to stay forward. And you're just, from your waist first, you're going to start rotating to your right. So as you start to rotate, notice, did your hips go to the right? If they did, bring them back to center. Both of your knees should be pointing forward. We're not trying to rotate the hips and knees, we're trying to rotate the spine. So the pelvis is still forward. The rest of your spine is rotating to the right, and that includes your head turning to the right. Now, if this feels more challenging, it's because it is. Like I said, it's really just the muscles attached to your spine that are doing the work. Come back to the center. Relax your arms for a moment, roll your shoulders back. So you might think, oh, I get into a much deeper twist when I'm seated. Yes, because we can pull on a leg or push on the floor, etc. When you're doing it this way, it's very pure. So again, hip bones go forward, knees go forward. Don't let them start tilting to the left. Arms are out to the side. You should begin your twist from about your waist. You're rotating to your left now, and your head is turning to the left. Don't let the hips and the knees go. And then come back to the center, roll your shoulders back. Nice. Feet together at the front of the mat. Spread your toes, plant your heels. Get in a nice, straight, aligned Tadasana position. And then I want you to imagine that someone has their hands around the base of your skull and up under your jaw, and they're literally pulling you straight up towards the ceiling. You're gonna feel your spine lengthen. We actually have the capacity to do these things for ourselves if we just tune in enough. So with that nice elongated spine, palms together, inhale, reach up. If you'd like to, reach back. As you exhale, fold forward. Look up halfway, pull a little more length into the spine, and then back down. Step back onto hands and knees. Give yourself a little tail wag. Those of you doing traditional vinyasas, it's your last one. Off you go. The rest of us are going to kind of savor these flexion and extension and tractioning moves here. So as you come into child's pose, if you're with me, I want you to really take a couple of breaths here and try and focus on getting the tailbone down to the heels, forehead rounding to the floor. Then we're going to scoot forward into Sphinx. Make sure that you're pushing through the forearms to lift the chest up. We don't want to sink into the shoulders. We want to lift away from them. So that's that extension. And we really want to feel the whole front side of our torso stretching and elongating. And then we also pull with the forearms just to get that little bit of tractioning in the spine. And then we're all going to downward facing dog, taking full advantage of this beautiful spine lengthening pose. And then from your down dog, have a seat with your legs extended. So we're just coming into Dandasana. You've done a lot of spinal manipulation already, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to find that really nice vertical aligned spine here. Remember, it's cool to have the hands on the floor. The traditional Dandasana actually does have hands behind you. So just find your straight spine, legs are active. Just take a moment. And in addition to checking in with your body and your breath and all those things I normally do, really pay attention to your energy right now. Not that you're going to feel like, woo, I'm so amped up or anything, but you might notice that you feel more in tune with your body. You're more aware of the sensations of the body, that you are a little more alive. So that all comes with the spinal work. Let's inhale and reach the arms up, lift the chest. Exhale, extend out over both legs. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Take a few breaths here. So really deep seated flexion. And then as you come up from this, bring your hands quite a ways behind you. Lift your chest up towards the ceiling and push it way forward. And if it's comfortable with your neck, you can allow your head to drop back. So this is a nice seated extension. In other words, your back is arching. And then come on up from that. We're going to keep the left leg straight. So that one for you guys. You're going to bring your right foot across your left thigh and have that foot really flat. And I want you to use your right shin or leg to lift your chest. Get absolutely straight and maintain that straight spine as you bring your right hand behind you. You can keep your left hand on the right leg, or you can bring your left elbow outside of it. But now we're going to go for a super deep rotation, but maintain that straight spine. No hunching and rounding, super vertical. You begin to rotate. And as you can see now, it's easier to get leverage and get a deeper twist
but it's because we're pressing against the thigh and pulling against the floor. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's quite different from your standing twist. That's a much more pure twist. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then come back around, extend your right leg out, take your left foot across your right thigh. Foot is completely flat. Go ahead and use your left shin. Hang on to it to lift your chest. You want to feel your sit bones. Very straight spine. Then the left arm comes around behind you and we initiate our twist. You can continue to just hang on to your left leg or you can bring your right arm outside of it. Maintain a super vertical straight spine and get as much rotation as you possibly can. Come all the way back around, extend your left leg. Wiggle your legs a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and have hands behind us for a straight spine. Bring the soles of your feet together wherever they land is perfect. Keep the chest lifted, press the knees out and down. Get a little bit of an inner thigh opening, outer thigh strengthening, because, surprise, today you get to keep your legs like this and grab your toes. I don't normally have you do this, right? But we're gonna really round our back. If it feels okay for you, you're gonna just start curling forward as though you're trying to put the top of your head on your feet. Come on up from that. And then as we go down onto our backs, we're going to come into a modified fish pose. So what that's going to look like, before you roll down onto your back, go ahead and just barely tuck your fingertips underneath your backside. Kind of squeeze your elbows towards each other and lie back on your forearms. You may keep your knees bent or you can extend your legs, whatever you're more comfortable with. But from this position, what we want to do is turn it into extension, turn it into a back bend. I want you to lift your chest up and start to keep rolling the rib cage back as the heart lifts towards the ceiling. Neck relaxes. If it's okay with you, keep lifting the center of your chest towards the ceiling. And then just untuck your fingers, roll onto your back, hug your knees in, rock side to side. So when we do this cradle rock, this side to side rock, we're actually kind of massaging the muscles on either side of the spine. So even this is about the spine. There's really not anything we do that doesn't involve some level of spinal mobility. So from here, just a little more extension, bridge pose, the perfect spinal extending pose. Feet are flat, big toes are touching, heels are separated. Let's lift our hips and our chests. Now, here's the cool thing about bridge pose. If you want to maintain that really long spine, you can use your hands to push on your pelvis, or you can just imagine that your pelvis, your hips, are moving towards your knees and your rib cage is moving towards your chin. So not only are you getting extension, the arching, but you're also getting some lengthening, some tractioning. Couple more breaths here. And slowly lower down. Hug your knees in. Big squeeze. Hug them in deeply if you can as you rock side to side, because as you can see, when you hug your knees in, that's the same thing as a bit of a forward bend, right? But we're going to take it a little deeper. So it depends upon your body. If you've got neck and shoulder issues, you're going to keep your knees a little bent, but put your hands behind your thighs and really hug them in, maybe letting the tailbone roll up a little bit. And that's plenty. For those of you who can do more, we're going to actually hike the hips into the hands and let the legs extend all the way over our head for plow pose, for the deepest forward bend. Take a couple of breaths. And roll on down, hug your knees in, and rock side to side. So our first spinal rotation on our back is going to be gentle, and then we'll go a little deeper. So I want you to keep your knees together and bent, and drop both knees to your right. Let your left arm open out to your left, and let your head turn to the left. Take a few breaths here. So reclined spinal twists also feel deeper than the standing ones because the weight of our pelvis, our hips, pulls the legs over. So again, we've got some leverage and some help. On your next inhale, bring those legs back up. As you exhale, you're just going to drop them over to the left. Keep your knees together and bent. Let your right arm open out to the right. Head turns to the right. Just take a few breaths here. Inhale, come back up. As you exhale, hug your knees in and rock side to side. So we are going to go a little deeper with our reclined twist, as promised. If that's a bad idea for you, you're going to repeat what we just did. Both of your knees would drop to the right. If you're going to go a little deeper, you're going to keep your left knee hugged into your chest and extend your right leg all the way out. And if possible, take the toes of your left foot and kind of hook them on the inside or back side of your right thigh. Use your right hand to pull your right knee all the way across, and then open your left arm back out to the left and turn your head to the left. So you should feel more rotation now. There's more leverage. There's more range of motion. For most of you, this is going to feel really, really good. If for any reason it feels bad, please come out of it and do the gentle reversion. On your next inhale, come on up. Hug your left knee in as you exhale. Bring your right knee up to meet it. You can rock if you like, and then keep the right knee hugged in. The left leg extends out. If you can, you're going to hook the toes of your right foot inside or behind that left knee or thigh. Right arm's going to open out as you use your left hand to truly pull yourself over to the left. Remember to modify as necessary. On your next inhale, come on back up. As you exhale, hug your right knee in. Bring your left knee up to meet it. So I want you to rock side to side again. And then if your back can handle it, I want you to rock back and forth. Now that may not be comfortable for everyone. If it is not comfortable for you, you can draw circles in the air with your knees in both directions. Otherwise, kind of roll back and forth along the length of your spine. And that should feel pretty yummy unless you have an injury, right? And if you have an injury, then you shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing modification. So let's go 2 or 3 more rocks if you're rocking. And then as you finish your rocks, put your feet flat on the mat. And they can be, about hip distance. Like, it doesn't really matter. This is not for bridge. In fact, you can have your toes pointing forward, no worries. We're going to do a reclined spinal traction.
So this is very similar to what we did when we were standing kind of in a half squat. It's subtle, but it's highly effective. So I want you to put your hands, the heel of your hand, like where your hand hits your wrist, right in the crease of your thighs. Your feet are going to stay flat. Your bum is going to stay on the mat. I want you to take a deep breath in. As you exhale, push against your thighs and see if you can move your shoulder blades and head up a little bit. So you're tractioning here. Hold that, arms totally straight. And then relax for a moment. One more time, press into the crease of the thighs. Inhale. As you exhale, really push. Maybe even get a little bit more length in the spine. The pelvis stays stationary, and the rib cage moves away from the pelvis. Release, do a couple of wrist circles if you need to. Grab your knees for one little side to side rock, and then you can grab your feet for happy baby. Just wiggle around, see how things feel. One of the things that's really pretty cool about doing spinal mobility work is that every part of your body benefits, because all of the nerve signals between your body parts and your brain all have to travel up your spinal cord, right? So when we open that up, open up the channels, so to speak, you feel everything. And that goes both ways. So your muscles respond better to your commands, and you are more able to feel everything in your peripheral body, so your arms and your legs. As you finish out your happy, happy, happy babies, put your feet on the ground, ankles and knees are together. We're going to do those gentle hip rolls because it's just the yummiest thing to do after a spinal mobility practice. So as you exhale, both knees drop to one side. And as you inhale, they both come back up. You exhale them the opposite direction. And you just keep slowly, fluidly rolling your hips with that slow, fluid breathing. Next time your knees come to the center, just allow them to drop open, soles of the feet together. So your final spinal lengthener, you do basically every class with me because it's just such a good thing for your back. With your knees dropped open, we're going to tilt the pelvis back to remove the curve of the spine. So you may notice today, maybe, that you actually have to shift your shoulder blades because your spine is longer than usual. I actually felt like I needed to shift. That's a super cool thing. Relax your back on your next exhale. And the next time you inhale, flatten it again. I used to have a client that would come to me at the old studio that would have to adjust her rear view mirror when she'd get back in her car to leave because she was taller. So my hope is that's the case for you. Not that you have to drive anywhere, but that you feel a lot taller. On your next exhale, release, let your back relax. Go ahead and extend your legs, separate the feet. It can be a little bit, it can be a lot, whatever feels good. Go ahead and roll them and then just let them flop. Make sure your buns, your glutes are relaxed. One final time, create maximum length in your spine, space between the shoulder blades. Shoulders are down away from the ears. The arms are at a comfortable angle. Palms facing up, hands below the heart. The neck is long. Your face relaxes, so your forehead goes smooth, your eyes are gently closed, your cheeks are relaxed, your lips are relaxed, your jaw is relaxed, so there's space between the teeth, your throat feels soft. Now you're just going to take an extra deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Just give your body ample time to really let go of any physical tension. It's completely unnecessary at this point.
Let it all go. Let your breathing respond to your very relaxed body. In other words, allow it to get gentler and softer. And I want you to just switch your perception of your breath. We're just going to breathe up and down the spine. You should be very in tune with your spine after today's practice. So using your imagination to breathe up and down the spine shouldn't be too far of a stretch. So as you inhale, just imagine that you're inhaling through the top of your head and that your breath goes all the way down the spine to the tailbone. When you exhale, you're exhaling from your tailbone all the way back up the spine and out the top of the head. Every breath in comes from the crown of your head and travels all the way down the spine to your tailbone. Every breath out initiates at the base of your spine and travels all the way back up and out the crown of the head. Slowly let your breathing go back to the way you're used to it happening. Just inhaling and exhaling through the nose into and out of the lungs. Notice how your body feels. The whole thing. Yes, your spine, but every single thing. Because again, you should have a heightened awareness of your body. Your nerve signals are flowing unimpeded. Start to deepen your breath. Start to move your fingers and toes a little bit. When you're ready, take that deeper breath and spread the fingers and toes, and then exhale through your mouth and relax them. Even deeper breath in, stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhale and relax. Bend your knees however you want. Roll to your right side. Take a breath there if you can. And then press yourself up into sitting with a nice, straight, aligned, and yet relaxed spine. So since we've done all of this spinal work, your whole body should be really alive. We're going to do a lovely balancing breath. We're going to go ahead and do Nadi Shodhana, which is a true alternate nostril breath, because it just allows both energies to balance. And in the yogic tradition, our main channel, which corresponds to our spinal cord, by the way, Sushumna Nadi, has two that kind of intertwine around it. It's actually the symbol for like the caduceus, the medical symbol, right? So those two channels are represented by left and right nostrils. So we want it all balanced. So we're just going to do an alternate nostril balancing breath. Your left hand can do whatever you want it to do. Your right hand is going to block your nostrils. So your first two fingers of your right hand either tuck under the pad of the thumb or they rest in the center of the forehead so that your right thumb blocks your right nostril, ring and pinky finger block the left. We'll keep it at a 6-second breath. That's for both the inhale and the exhale. If you find yourself struggling at that length, you may shorten it, but keep with the pattern. And I'll just go ahead and talk you through 3 full rounds. So take a deep breath in through both nostrils. Exhale through both nostrils. And then breathe in on the left side. Breathe out on the right. Breathe in on the right. Breathe out on the left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Last round. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Go ahead and let your right hand rest down on your right knee or thigh. If your eyes are closed, please keep them closed. I want you to just kind of take a moment and check in. So true alternate nostril breath helps turn our attention inward. So by balancing those two channels I told you about, we almost can't help but turn our focus inward. Notice if that feels true for you. And if it doesn't, that's also okay. Just kind of take a moment and sit with the effects of this practice and this breath for just a minute or so. Let's slowly bring our palms together in front of our hearts and take a moment in gratitude. Gratitude for our spine. The bony vertebrae that house and protect our spinal cord. The nerves that run through our spinal cord that keep us connected to this beautiful body that we live in. This amazing body that we inhabit. And to the energy, the life force, the prana that runs through that central channel and into all the others that keeps us so alive. Gratitude for this practice that keeps us in touch with our spine and helps us keep it supple and healthy. Take one more huge breath into your nose. Big happy sigh. Palms together at our foreheads, just reminding us to be present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open, to always be kind, compassionate, and loving. And make sure we include ourselves in that. Thank you guys for joining me. Namaste.